A small planted tank for shrimp can be a beautiful and natural addition to any room in your house, and it doesn't have to be difficult. In a few steps, we can create a beautiful underwater universe that is easy to maintain and enjoyable to look at. Any type of aquarium can be used. For this planted tank, we'll be using this small, shallow aquarium. It holds about 5 gallons, so it won't weigh that much even after being filled. This small cabinet will be perfect. The idea will be to create a planted tank environment for shrimp that visually looks similar to a riverbank or shallow stream. Using different sized stones, 2 types of substrate, and low-maintenance plants, we can make a beautiful, natural-looking aquarium where shrimp can thrive. It may seem out of order, but I'll be adding stones of various sizes to the aquarium as a first step. I'll be placing them in very gently, but of course a material like egg crates can be used to protect the bottom. Or just add substrate first to cushion the rocks. I'm doing it this way to build a barrier between 2 substrates. Choosing different sized stone pieces with interesting texture will automatically create a natural-looking effect without much effort. Starting with the largest pieces, we can make a triangular shape with the stones. The area inside is supposed to hold substrate for the plants. Using smaller stones, fill in the larger gaps and open areas. Save some tiny stone pieces. Any type of substrate can be used for this planted tank style, and it would still look great. To make this particular aquarium more dramatic, 2 different types of substrate will be used. Aquatic plant soil will go in the back and behind the stones. This one is stratum from Fluval, but any type will work, or simply gravel can work with the addition of root tabs for plants that are root feeders. Natural sand will go in the front of the stones down to the front of the tank and around the side. This sand has been rinsed and dried to remove debris. Remember those small stones from earlier? Now it's time to add them on top of the sand around the larger stones. This adds a natural look since stones break off in nature all the time. Of course, the 2 substrates will eventually begin to mix together, and some of the soil will travel down onto the sand. An easy trick to removing these pieces is to use some type of magnet. In this case, one that extends to the bottom of the tank. It'll pick the soil right up because the pieces contain iron, which the magnet attracts. This will be handy after the tank is filled up for the first time. Now it's finally time to add some plants and give this aquarium life. A mix of smaller to medium-sized plants will be used, and they are all easy to take care of and don't require much maintenance. Brazilian pennywort will go in the back middle, and some stems of pearlweed will line the back glass to create a backdrop. Cryptocoryne lutea will live throughout the middle, and microsword will edge the stones like grass. Monte Carlo can go in between some of the stones and around edges. Last, this darker colored bucephalandra will live in the very front in between the cracks of the stones. Breaking apart the plants into smaller groups will make planting easy and allow more coverage with less pots of plants. All these plants can be found in potted form. The bucephalandra, though, is from another aquarium I've had established for a long time. Each plant gets broken down and kept misted with water so nothing dries out too much. Using these Aquarium Co-op planting tweezers, we'll add the plants one at a time. Place the roots between the tweezers and wiggle it into the soil using the other hand to pin it down in place if needed. Planting before filling the tank can help make things easier and avoid floating plants. Just keep the plants from getting completely dried out while working. It doesn't have to be perfect. The plants will naturally untangle and reach toward the light. I'm simply wedging the bucephalandra between the rocks, but superglue can be used if needed, and it's not toxic to fish or shrimp. Giving the plants one last spritz, we'll get ready to fill this tank up. Lots of soil washed down onto the sand while the tank was filling, but we can clean that up easily. Now that the tank is full, we'll need to add a filter and let this tank cycle and establish a beneficial bacteria colony. This nano filter will fit perfectly, and we'll be cutting some filter media from the Aquariumcoop coarse and fine filter pads. Just using some scissors, I'll cut a couple pieces to fit in the filter. The coarse sponge will trap larger pieces, and the fine media will clarify the water and capture the tiniest debris. Carbon and other filter media pads aren't needed for this tank, but a pre-filter sponge will add surface area for bacteria and add more filtration, so that will go on the filter intake. To boost the cycling of this aquarium and quickly establish a beneficial bacteria colony throughout the tank, we'll add some Fritzzyme 7, which contains live bacteria. Additionally, we can squeeze filter media from an already established tank into this new tank to transfer the live bacteria. This is a pre-filter sponge off a hang-on back filter from my seasoned 20-gallon aquarium. Using test strips, we can get an idea of the water parameters. After a couple weeks, the test reads no ammonia or nitrites, but some nitrates. The plants will take up the nitrates to grow, so we just need to make sure the nitrates don't reach above 40 to 50 parts per million. If that happens, a water change is needed. Since the tests are consistently reading 0 ammonia or nitrite, as well as moderate hardness and pH, we'll add some shrimp and keep an eye on the water parameters after that. Shrimp don't add much waste since they're so small, but we'll still keep an eye out for ammonia spikes using test strips. For this aquarium, we don't need that many shrimp either. A few colorful Caridina shrimp, and an amano shrimp or two to keep the algae from building up too much. At Aquariumcoop, the cherry shrimp were looking really nice, so I got 6 of them. And I also picked up 2 amanos. This is plenty for such a small aquarium, and they will all really stand out against the green plants. I even had to request smaller amano shrimp because the ones in the tank were so huge. After getting home, I allowed the bag to float for a while to acclimate the temperature. I mixed some tank water slowly into their water and then transferred them to a clear glass to pour them directly into the tank. Over the next couple days, the shrimp settled into the tank and are actively cleaning all the surfaces for biofilm and bits of algae. I also added a lid because this tank is quite shallow. There is light on this tank for about 6 hours per day, and the filter is keeping the water clear and moving. Other than that, a planted tank like this doesn't require much maintenance. Regular water changes will be needed, but because it's a small tank, they won't be time-consuming. The shrimp are interesting to watch, and the tank complements the room nicely. Overall, this is a simple build that can be done in a variety of ways to keep shrimp happy. Would you build a shrimp tank like this one? What type of shrimp would you add?
We hope you enjoyed this video. To watch another one just like it, click here.